Haha. Oh, lads, how are we all doing? How are we all doing? I was tempted to say the morning after the night before, but it's not even the morning after the night before, is it? It's the evening after the night before. I mean, holy. you know what, right? I've gone and watched it a couple of times. Obviously, I bought the pay per view, so you can go back and watch it on TNT. I was going to call it BT Sport there. TNT. Um, you know what? It's still kind of, when I was watching it last night, the fight, it was just so strange because it was great to see. It was like Terence Crawford. You were watching, you know, a man who just has honed his craft so well. You were watching a technician in action. It was brilliant from that point of view to watch Terence Crawford and see what he did. But you watched it in disbelief almost because for me, this was a very competitive fight going into it. And watching it unfold as it did, you're just watching it you're in awe of the skill on display from Crawford, but you're also just looking and you're like, wow, I did not expect to be so one-sided. It's just, your mind boggles a bit watching it like that. Like, as good as it was, and you got to appreciate how good it was from Crawford, you're just like, holy crap, I was not expecting it to be so one-sided. I don't think anyone really was. I think there was a few people who said that they expected Crawford to win very convincingly, but the general consensus was Crawford was favourite. A lot of people were picking him to win by stoppage as well. But I don't think anyone expected it to be so one-sided. I think everyone was expecting it to be a very nip and tuck fight, and maybe Crawford to land a shot on Spence that just stuns him and he takes him out from there. I think that was what a lot of us were expecting. I was expecting it to go the distance. So to see it like that, it was just, it was crazy. It really was. But, you got to give Terence Crawford all the credit in the world. You also got to say that Spence has tremendous heart. He really wanted to. I thought they'd stop the fight after the seventh round. I really did. I was watching it and I was, I remember they were talking to the commentary and I was expecting them to stop mid conversation and say, "Oh, they're pulling him out." I have to say that the 7th to the 8th round, I was expecting them to stop it. They didn't, and the referee stopped it. Now, Harvey Dock is not normally a quick stoppage type of guy. He is someone who, for the most part, lets fights go on. Sometimes a little bit too long, but I think the stoppage was perfect. 90 in the building already, so we're all interested about this fight. And I got to big up everyone. We hit 12K subs. I had a feeling that we do well on the post fight now because the post fights have been doing very well as of late. And we're now on 12,010 subs. So thank you to everyone. We're going places. We're getting there. That was a brutal beat, and Spence might never be the same. I was thinking that myself in the immediate aftermath. I was like, he might never be the same after that because it was a bad beat. And I mean, what really shocked me was when I seen his face after only about 4 rounds. I was like, good lord. I mean, Errol Spence has been in a car crash for real, and I was thinking it looked as if he was in another car crash. Yes, G-Man Crawford banished Spence to the land of the wind and ghost. Immaculate performance. It really was. I'm hoping for Crawford versus Boots. I mean, that is the next fight, hopefully. But because I don't want to see a rematch, particularly when it was so one-sided. But him against Boots. Big up to JD. Shame there was there was no watch along because I went for a run on Thursday and it started raining, so I got a bit of a chill, I think. And obviously, as you can tell, I think it was Friday, my throat was a bit tickly. And yesterday, I just wasn't feeling well enough. I was well enough to stay up and watch it, although I dozed off a few times before the fight. But I just kind of decided, look, I don't feel right enough to do more than likely 2 hours of non-stop talking. I just didn't feel right enough. I just was like, no, my throat is dry, I have a cough, and I didn't feel 100% to do it. And even in the post-fight review, as you could tell by how I was sounding, I wasn't exactly feeling up to it. I feel a lot better today now, even though I didn't get much sleep. I feel a lot better. I still have a bit of a cough, but I still feel a lot better today. So hence the reason we're doing this. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I was a bit sick the weekend, and I just didn't feel up to it. I knew I'd be doing 2 hours more than likely of it, and I was like, I just don't feel like I can do 2 hours of non-stop talking. Even the post-fight review didn't help that I was tired. I was just like, I just don't think I can even do much longer than 10 minutes. Let's go. Edmund says, G-Man, when do you think you'll be moving to the UK? Do you think it will be this year? The channel is great and growing well. Happy for you. Thank you, my man. That's a good question. I probably would say, mate, if I had to put an ETA on it, I would say January, February next year, unless something changes. See, I don't want to go and move over there without a job. So the job I'm in now is hybrid, but it will let you work remote if you have a good enough reason. And obviously, living in the UK would be a good enough reason. So I'm hoping to do a pretty good job over the next couple of months. So when it comes time to break the news and say, hey, I'm moving to London, can I still work? Because they do. There's people in it who work full-time remote, and they don't live that far. They live on the other side of Dublin, which is not far at all. So I'm kind of hoping that, fingers crossed, when that time comes to it. Now, if they say no, so be it. I'll still go. Just means I'll have to work extra hard to get. That's why I'm saving, just so I know that if worst case scenario I have to look for something, I'm covered for at least a couple of months before I have to really start worrying. Where's that one? Let me pop that up. Yeah, Crawford versus Charlo. Probably won't happen because Canelo will be up Jamel so bad there won't be much point. Canelo's definitely going to put a beating on Jamel. I have no doubt about that. Will need to fight at after the light middleweight title. I think he will. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves and just rematches Spence at 154. If he does rematch him, wouldn't surprise me. I know we want to big up Boots and big up the Boots every time, but I can't see him and Crawford fighting. I think Crawford will just go and chase another world title at 154. Big up to Reese every time. 137. Jesus, we have. It's been good so far. 137 of you guys in the building. If you could, lads, smash the old like button and help your boy out. Let's try and see how quick it takes to get to 13,000. Because obviously, the channel, we're in a good place. We're in a good place. Smash the old like button. Roy Jones says he's never seen a face redden as well so quick. It was really, really quick, and I remember, I think it was the third round is when you noticed it starting to swell. And I was looking at it thinking, is it just the Vaseline or sweat? Or am I actually seeing? Because, you just see a face swell so bad and redden so bad so quick. You kind of like, is it actually that I'm seeing or something else? Because it was so quick in the fight. I was kind of looking at it like, is that? And then you see it and you're like, oh no, that really is him swelling so bad. It was just so quick and sudden. It was crazy. But it was the accuracy of Crawford's shots. I mean, I said it in the post-fight. When Crawford landed the first shot of the fight was the jab. And it was almost like, even though Spence got the better of the first round, I kind of knew, all right, this ain't going to be Spence's night. Even though he was getting the better of the first round, I was just looking at the punches that Crawford was landing and the shot selection he was having, even in the first round, and I was like, it ain't going to be Spence's night. You could just tell. And you could see in the second round when Crawford started putting his foot down a bit, it was just like, I could just tell instantly. I was like, nah, this isn't Spence's night. And thanks, May, I'm delighted with 12K. Delighted with it. It's been a good month this July. We went from 11,600 to 12K in the space of a month. So we had a good month this month. It's been a very good month for the channel. Long may it last. August is shaping up to be a pretty good month with fights. So hopefully we'll get the growth to persist and keep going. And, it's all about getting to 15 quickly and then on to 20. Because I think, I think it was Ade and Hatman both told me when your channel hits 10K, you'll see it grow a lot more. And I have noticed that people who say that when it hits over 10K, it grows more. I think there's a lot of truth to that because I've seen that. I've noticed it. So long may it continue. Long may it last. I'm hoping that, it's not the end goal isn't 20K. It's more than that. Like, obviously, I'd love to be on the kind of Hatman and A numbers that they're doing, which is crazy. Which is really crazy when you consider it. Like, they're gaining like hundreds of subs a week. It's just like, wow, I can only dream of that. But, that's the end goal. It has to, mate. It has to. I mean, against Danny Garcia and Jordan Rodriguez, you saw little glimpses of Spence being vulnerable, but not that much. But it really all told there. I mean, I think you have to say that the car crash, and that's again, I'm not doing that to take away from Crawford. So don't think I'm saying it as, oh, that's the reason. No, Crawford is, judging by how good Crawford was, I think if you're talking about prime Spence, it would have been more competitive. But I think it would have been a similar outcome. But I think definitely the crash has taken a lot out of Spence. I mean, it had to. I mean, you saw the pictures of Errol Spence post car crash, and you looked at it, and you looked at his eye looks so weird. I think it was his left eye, and the scarring on his face, or the damage to his face, I should say. And you were like, no, that had to take something definitely out of him. I know he escaped with it with, on the surface, only a couple, I think, broken teeth and a few little scratches here and there. It wasn't officially nothing major, but you just looked at it and you were like, there had to have been something else there, because it was such a violent crash. I mean, if no one's ever seen it, there is footage of it, and it's such a violent crash. You look at that and you think, no, there had to have been something taken out of him. I mean, if you watch motorsport, and you see some very, very violent crashes in F1 and stuff like that, where the driver is perfectly okay, a lot of them will say like it was a massive crash like that made them reassess things, and it took something out of them. And I think it's the same with this. Big up to MVG. Yeah, I did. I'll talk more about that in review of the week, mate. And God, I am missing loads of chats here. Sorry, people. There's so many in the chat. Big up to Afro Soul and Nick every single time. I'm going to have to, man. And I'm going to have to skip a few. So apologies if I ain't reading your question, because, mate, there's loads of them. G-Man, what do you think of the stoppage? In America, they tend to stop them late, and in the UK, they tend to stop them too soon. I think it was perfect. I was surprised they didn't stop the fight after the 7th round, Derek James, but at the end of the day, he's the trainer. He knows his fighter very well, and he obviously assumed that Spence had more fight in him. I think that would have been appropriate to stop it, but maybe, again, given the stage it was on, I'm sure they didn't want to leave with a corner retirement. They would have probably rather him go out on a shield. I think in the US, they definitely do stop them later in the US, certainly do. I think in the UK, we do complain a lot that it is premature, and look, no one wants to see a fighter get beaten half to death because the referee or corner won't stop it. But at the same time, you don't want to see a fighter fighting back and a referee jump in and stop it, because, Howard Foster is the guy who comes to mind. You can see it in his eyes when a fighter is buzzed. He's panicking. And for me, a referee should be the one he should be the most calm in there. He should be the one who's not getting flustered. And you see Howard Foster, he stops fights way too early because you can see the panic in his face, and he's like second guessing himself constantly, and that shouldn't be for a referee. Harvey Dock is known as a guy who doesn't stop fights very quickly. He lets fights go on, sometimes a little bit too long, but other times I think that he's spot on, and I think last night he was spot on. I think Harvey Dock is one of the better referees I've seen. And yeah, I think that in the UK they certainly should let fights go on a little bit longer. I don't like seeing quick stoppages. I've always said that. I really don't like it. I think that there are times where you can say, yeah, look, let him go on, let him carry on. And I think that needs to happen a little bit more in the UK. Would be thought of as greater than Mayweather when he hangs the gloves up. I wouldn't say he would be, but he's definitely the greatest of this era, 100%. 100%. They were touting Crawford as being one of the great welterweights before he even fought welterweight. They were just, when he was at 140, before he'd even been undisputed, it was just, when he moves up, what's he going to do? And, Crawford really is, as many of you will know, like, I like Spence, I like Crawford, I've always thought highly about. I knew Crawford was good. I've always said that he's a great fighter. But even I was just taken aback by how good he was last night. And you got to big up Bomek for that as well, because he obviously really did his homework incredibly well. And he really knew. It was like he drilled into Crawford all of Spence's, the mistakes he makes from a technical point of view. So Crawford was instantly able to capitalize on. The low hands, the range really messed with Spence. You could see that. You could see several times in that fight. He thought he was at a safe range when he wasn't. And he was either hit with a right hand, as in a right jab, or he was hit with a left hook, one or the other. It was incredible to watch. It really was. I was the same. I thought would have made it closer. Yeah. And I got a super chat. The lovely Karma Serene. Thank you so much, my dear, for the 20 quid. Big up every time. And I know me and you are both fans of Errol Spence, so that obviously was a tough fight to watch last night as well. But it was a great fight to watch in a sense of seeing a master in Terence Crawford at work. And thank you so much, my dear, for the 20 quid. I greatly appreciate that. Najee, man, it was a matter of skill difference. The skill on display in Crawford was incredible. I mean, it was a joy to watch, but as I said at the start, you were watching it like, is this really happening? Because I really did, and I saw my pre-fight, I was like, it's going the distance. It's going to be nip and tuck. And it was just like, wow, it's not nip and tuck. It is legit just one guy is dominating. And wow, I just think Crawford is the better fighter, to be fair. Oh, yeah, he's definitely the better fighter. It's crazy. And, you look at welterweight and you just think, like, who is there? Boots, potentially, but Boots is athletic. He's fast. He hits very hard. But when someone like Crawford, who is just, his timing is amazing, his counter punching is amazing, that can negate all that. The timing will always negate speed. That's one thing about Khan. Why Khan's speed early on, that's why he's so dangerous early on, is mesmerized. Certainly when he was in his prime. That's why I would have always favored Mayweather to beat Khan. I think Khan would have given Mayweather a lot of problems early on. But once you start to acclimatize to the speed and you know the angles that he's attacking from, you can start to counter him. And that's what happened to Amir Khan a lot of the times in his career. You'll always kind of see it, like, you'll start getting counted. And I think Mayweather would have always beaten him. No. Errol Spence is not under any circumstance a hype job. No way. No, Spence is a tremendous fighter. He is, and I've always felt that. And someone asked me the other night if it had been a prime Brook who never fought Triple G. I said Spence would have still beaten. I think anyway, Spence would have still beaten him. It would have been a tougher fight. Probably would have went the distance, but Spence still would have won. In my opinion, I think Spence is right up there with one of the best. Well, he is one of the best of this era. There's no doubt about that. But he's just not as good as Crawford. But that's like turning around and saying, Joshua. But people say, but Joshua was lost, right? To Alexander Usyk back to back. But there's no shame in that. It's like people say, oh, he lost to Usyk. So who hasn't lost to Usyk so far? Yeah, he's not cleaned out the division, but like losing to someone as good as that, there's no shame in that. So you're not as good as arguably, because you can chuck Fury in there as well, arguably the best in the division. You're not as good as him, but you're still very good. So there's no shame in that. You can tell Bud took it easy on Spence. And yeah, he definitely, I thought he'd end it in that 8th round, but he didn't. He definitely kind of pulled back a bit. And I think he took a breather more so than anything else in that round 8. It was, no, I think Bomac is a very good trainer. He is. And I think that some people look at him and, because he's like Johnny Fisher Sr. light, because Bomac is a unit of a man. He really is big. He knows his boxing. And I think that he had his game plan for Crawford executed to a T. I mean, they did their homework. Bomac knows what he's doing. At the end of the day, right, I've said this about trainers. A trainer could be amazing. He could be an amazing trainer. But sometimes a fighter's got to take an L. There's nothing you can do. A fighter, you might have other fighters who just aren't as good. Does that mean you're a bad trainer? John Fury is talking about Sugar Hill Stewart as if he's a terrible trainer just because he wouldn't draw the line with Tyson Fury, or push that narrative, I should say, when he's not. He's a great trainer, and there's I hate this now, right? We're starting to see it more and more now, and I don't like it personally. We're seeing when a fighter loses, it's like, oh, is he really that good? But now when a fighter loses, a trainer gets blamed, and they're like, oh, is that trainer that good? It's like, what? There's no trainer in history who's had a fighter go, every fighter not lose. Always they're going to lose. A trainer is going to have a career that could span 40, 50 years. He's going to have loads of fighters take L's. That doesn't mean he's a bad trainer. It's like, imagine Emmanuel Stewart in his prime, and you gave him a journeyman, And that journeyman, even though he's got Matty Stewart training him, still loses. Does that mean Matty Stewart's a bad trainer because he couldn't bring him to world level? No. Sometimes you're only as good as the fighter you have. And you see it a lot more now. It's like, Ben Davison's fault. Ben Davison's fighter lost on. Ben Davison's a crap trainer. Oh, Shane McGuigan's fighter lost on. He's a crap trainer. Oh, Derek James' fighter loses. Oh, he's not that good. It's like, no. It's just not your night some night as a fighter. It doesn't mean the trainer is bad. Of all the top guys in the entire sport, Crawford's the man that has never come remotely close to losing. That's a good point, actually, because, literally, he hasn't come close to losing. What was I saying? My brothers who only tune into the big fights laughed at me for telling them it was going to be a close fight. Yeah, I know. If you told someone, because I was telling people as well who were asking, what's this fight going to be like? And I was like, it's going to be competitive. It's going to be close. And I haven't spoke to any today. Whether they watched it or not, I don't know. But I would imagine if they did, they were like, that wasn't close at all. I'm like, well, yeah, it wasn't on paper, but believe me, we all thought it would be. If Usyk beats Fury, you see, I don't really do pound for pound, mate, to be honest with you. That's why you'll see with Inoue and with Crawford, I never mentioned pound for pound once with them. It's not something I really tend to do a lot. I don't do it because it's a very subjective thing, pound for pound. It's a very abstract thing as well. I don't really tend to do it. I have an opinion on who I think are the best around, and it would be those three: Crawford, Inoue, and Usyk. But I don't really have it in any particular order. I think they're both amazing in their own ways in their respective divisions as well. I've never really been one for pound. There may be a time where one fighter is just leagues above everyone else and you would just say, look, he is the best. But I just don't do the whole pound for pound thing. If other people do, that's fine. I don't mind people who do pound for pound. It's not something I really do. Yeah, exactly. And got smashed to bits. A hype job, defo. AJ got branded a hype job by losing to Usyk, which is like, how you could be granted a hype job for that is bizarre. But I don't brand Spence as the same. Like, they're both lost to a much, much better fighter. That's like saying every other fighter who fight. Like, Crawford could fight every other top welterweight and probably beat them all. Does that mean that everyone in that division is a hype job? No. It just means that there's a special talent in it. Nearly 200. Yeah, 236. If you could, lads and lassies, help your boy out, smash the old like button. Help your boy out, smash the like button. Because right now, we just passed 12k today, so I'm happy about that. And obviously, I want to get to 13 as quick as you can. So yeah, if you're new, it's your first time you're watching and you think this guy from Dublin's talking a bit of sense, you might like to hear him talk a bit more, the old subscribe button. It is free. I don't charge for that. I don't charge for anything on the channel, by the way. I don't charge for anything. Thoughts on Colin's boxing show in the RDS in September. I was surprised how the size difference made absolutely no impact. The size difference played no part in the Crawford fight. Although Crawford, I heard on commentary people were saying that he is quite a unit away from the ring as well, and it didn't make much of a difference to size. In terms of Conal at the RDS, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I might go to it. I don't think there's any shows on that would need my attention on the UK or the US. Well, the US doesn't really matter because of the time difference. But I'll probably go to that. I might even send away for a press pass for that because it's only in the RDS. It's not far. It's in Dublin, so why not? Yeah, it was just best in the world. If this fight had happened, it would have been I think it would have been closer, but I think it would have been the same result, Crawford winning. Just because fans had an idiotic response to AJ losing to an ATG doesn't mean that there should be an idiotic response to people love to say, like, as soon as a fighter loses, like, I'll give you an example. If Fury loses, right, say Fury fights Usyk and he loses, people will say he's a hype job, which is completely ridiculous. He's far from it. And they'd say the same vice versa. There are people who would say, like, Crawford is amazing, right? And look what he did now, but they'll say Spence is a hype job. It's like, well, don't do that because you're taking away from what Crawford's done. If Spence is a hype job, then why are you saying it's amazing what Crawford did? Because, and that's not me. Like, I'm just saying, like, don't say these guys are hype jobs. They are brilliant. They are definitely brilliant. They just fought someone who is just better. Simple as. I'd like that. I hope so. I'd love that if they did. I would still go with Floyd just that would be a hell of a fight. That would be that'd be a proper chess match. But I would favour Floyd still. I would. Generational talent. Arum dropped the ball with. Yeah, Bob Arum, he definitely dropped the ball with Crawford. I really don't understand it, you know. I really don't get it. You know, he had a generational talent there with Crawford, and all he ever did was take you know what on him and say, you know, the amount of houses I could buy with the money I lost on Crawford. This is a guy who is the best welterweight of this era, and all you did was just take a dump on him. Amazing. Didn't want to hurt Spence by the end. Maybe. There's definitely respect there between the two. Yeah, his guard was incredible. It really was. And it wasn't like he was doing that. He was just keeping the guard up tight, just telegraphing the shots. And that's what I said in the pre-fight. The counters from Crawford will be fast, they'll be hard, they'll be accurate. I didn't think they'd be that good, but they were brilliant. No. I was a big fan of Thurman in his prime, but now it's just like, mate, you're fighting once a year, if even. Big difference with all these pound-for-pound top elite fighters is they live the boxing life. They certainly do. You can't take that away. When top US fighters is a welterweight, no wonder US boxing is struggling. I think US boxing can get better, and it is, but they need to embrace Crawford, I think. In the press conference after, I thought he needed to go straight to hospital. Yeah, he went. I thought that as well. I mean, a fight like that, you should just get them checked out, just to be on the safe side. I thought, you know, he could have probably done with maybe skipping the presser and just getting a good look at, making sure he was okay. If Charlo beats Canelo and Crawford beats Errol, is there potential? Oh yeah, they definitely would, but they'll probably do it at a catch weight. I wouldn't imagine Jamel will come back down to 154. From round 3, he was just pushing Spence off. Yeah, he really was. I don't know. I think that fatigue set in very quickly with Errol Spence, which I wonder, is it the weight? I wonder, was it mental fatigue? Because you can burn a lot of energy mentally before a fight. And I wonder if maybe that happened to Spence. And I wonder if because he was trying so hard to stay with Terence Crawford in the early part, did he just burn himself out mentally as well as physically? That was a great fight, James Toney versus Roy Jones. He popped for PED use. Are we sure Bud isn't enhancing? Can never know for sure, but I'd say he's probably okay. They would have been tested very well going into this fight. Fighting wins fights. Derek James is definitely a better trainer than Bomac. Big up to Bomac. Crawford isn't fit to lace Nas gloves. Man, Crawford would have done damage. Like, Nas never fought north of 126. So Spence got robbed. No, he didn't. Being a Crawford fan years is only his problem. He's a silent, low-key assassin. He's definitely a generational talent, G. And we need to enjoy him because it's not often we get fighters who are his age, 35, still being in their prime, which I think Crawford is. I don't know how many years we have left of him at the best, at the peak. So we need to enjoy what we have left with Crawford. You know, at the end of the day, I would say maybe 2 to 3 years. Maybe we have Crawford at his close to his peak. So we need to enjoy that, you know. I always say when we get these fighters who come around who are so talented, we need to enjoy them. We need to enjoy what we're seeing. Take it in, embrace it, and then, because I guarantee you there'll be people who watched the fight last night who'll tell their kids about it. And, you know, maybe they'll watch it in 20 years' time and say, that was a beating. And you'll like, if I ever have kids, and I'd like them to get into boxing, they don't have to if they don't want to, but if they did and they watch Crawford Spence, I'd be like, wait till I tell you what a lot of people thought going into that fight would happen, myself included, and you actually see what did happen. I would just say it's the top 3 guys are Inoue, Usyk, and Crawford in whatever order you want. You know, they are the top 3, but you have them in whatever order you want. Yeah, I seen the slap. I did. I seen that. Even in all, what a performance by Crawford. Absolutely destroyed my guy Spence. Shout out to G-Man. I've been watching him for years. Shout out for getting to this point. Thanks, mate. Man, it's been It's been a fun couple of years, doing this. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and there's plenty more to come, obviously. I ain't stopping anytime soon, man. There's loads more to come with the channel and, upgrades aplenty. That's definitely a thing that's going to be coming as well. I just can't wait to get over to the UK and start going to more shows. I'm going to go to more shows this year before the year is out. Obviously, I'm looking and thinking, right, which one can I do? Which one can I go to that works out geographically, price wise? So I'm definitely going to go to more shows before the year is out. That's 100%. That's a given. Maybe two, maybe one. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But obviously, when I'm in the UK, it's going to be, especially if it's in London, it'd be like even small hall shows. I'll be going to a lot more frequent. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that leads to, if the growth that will do. And obviously, we're still doing what we always do on here and talk about the news, the previews, the reviews, and everything else. So there's a lot to come. There's a lot to come. And hopefully, we can get the ball rolling again when we get over there and we can see where it goes. That's the thing. I always used to say, right? I even remember telling Ade this. It's not about really making money from the channel. It's nice the channel does make money, but it's more about seeing where it takes us, And I think that's more what the kind of kick I get out of it, rather than, like, I love seeing the numbers go up, don't get me wrong. But I love just thinking, right, look, this time 2 years ago, we didn't even have 5K. Now we're chasing 15K. What could we be doing in 3 years? Or where could we be in 3 years? It's crazy to think, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, look what we've been doing, 231, let's make it 200 likes. Boom, let's make it 200 likes, man. After tonight, what are your thoughts on Crawford versus Ray Leonard? It would have been a great fight. Ray Leonard, his speed was on a different level. It would have been an excellent one. I don't know who I'd fancy in that fight, man. I have to think long and hard about it. Is disrespectful towards Crawford? Yeah, exactly. It's a very, I don't understand how people would turn around and say, great performance by Crawford. Does that mean Spence is a hype job? It's like, what? It's like, Hearn got to try and make make Spence versus Ben. Man, if he did, even after that fight, Conor Benn would get lifted off the ground by Errol Spence. Like, Conor Benn really is no great shakes as a fighter. He really isn't. He is pretty basic. He really is. He's not going to do anything at world level. If they did, that would be a cash out. Wouldn't surprise me if Hearn did cash Ben out, to be honest with you. But that's all they're looking to do. He's been matched extremely carefully. No punchers. And the fight that they announced was Eubank. It's like, I know they're talking about Brook, and they're talking about Josh Taylor. It seems to me as though they just want to make money from him, because I think deep down Eddie Hearn knows he's no great shakes. So it's just a case of rather him lose to someone we'll make a lot of money on than him fight a contender like Stanionis and lose to him. What also surprised me was how effective Crawford was with his jab. Too many fighters just use it sporadically, but he rammed it. Yeah, the jab is the first punch you're taught in boxing, and it's the best punch to have in your arsenal. A jab can be. I think, like, nowadays, people are just so impressed by a big left hook to the chin gets results, or a big right hand counter, boom, instantly gets results. But a jab, if you have a good jab, you are nullifying your opponent so much by using that jab. That jab can just, like, who was it who said it? A jab can take you around the world. It literally can. A jab is the most basic punch you're taught, but it's also one of the best punches you can have. I thought he might get robbed on the card. So did I. I was a bit afraid. But no, the way the judges had it, they were never, you couldn't score it any other way. Like, I gave Spence the first round, and that's it. That's literally it. That was it. He won the first round, and that was it. It does take balls to get in the ring. If someone asked me who was having their first amateur fight in a few months, I was like, you'd be nervous because it is intimidating. It's not easy. You just have to. Everyone's afraid. Anyone tells you they're not, they're talking out their arse. Everyone is going to be intimidated getting in there. You just need to control it. You need to just not let it burn your energy, for one, and just think, the guy next to me, the guy across the ring, he's feeling exactly the same. You know, it's not like he's going in there, you know, thinking, I've got no butterflies. He's going to feel exactly the same. Boxing fans are awful. Everyone who loses gets called a fraud. This is what incentivizes fighters to avoid the best. Yeah, I think that there's too many people look at a fight. You lost your role, you're garbage. No. No one said Muhammad Ali's garbage. He's got 5 losses. You know? You don't beat Brooke, Porter, and Usyk and Ugas, sorry, if you're a hype job. He is not a hype job. Not really, mate. To be honest with you, can't say I'm looking forward to that. Base predicted him in 9 rounds. I know Dell said between 9 and 11, so we got a lot of Nostradamuses. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I really didn't pick. Like, I picked Crawford, obviously, but I really wasn't thinking stoppage. I was thinking points, definitely. I think Chris Andre picked, if I'm not mistaken. His breakdown was very good. I think he was picking Crawford by stoppage as well. It seemed like everyone was picking Crawford. The general consensus was that he would win. I don't think I've seen anyone pick Spence. In any of the videos I seen, I don't think anyone I was seeing was picking Spence. Usyk would have done to Fury. I say it now that I would be picking Fury, and watch, if that fight ever happens, boom, there you go. Then he will be a hype job. Fury is a talented fighter. As much as we don't like him in terms of the things he does outside the ring, you know, and just the ducking, the gaslighting, all that, you know, I mean, as a character, as a person, I don't got a lot of time for Tyson Fury. I think that he is as fake as a £2 note in a lot of things. But for me, he is a great fighter. You know, you can't take that away from him. He is a tremendous fighter. But as a person, you know, I think a lot of Fury's personality when he does those videos where he's, you know, laughing at the fact that he's making these demands, I think that he shows a lot of his real self in that. That he is one of these guys who's just like, you know, I'm the boss, and you know, I'm making it hard for you, and I know it, and yous all know it. And for me, like, when he does them, he's showing you what he really is all about. And for me, I don't know how anyone can look at that. And, you know, we're not talking about the fighting in the ring. We're talking about his personality, his character. I don't know how anyone can look at that and think this is a guy I want to get behind. Because to me, he's just laughing at you. You know, he's laughing at the fighter, he's laughing at the fans, and he's laughing at the people who still support him. For me, it's like, he's laughing at you. Like, why would you want to support that? Like, I just don't get it. If I'm, look, and you know me, like, I really have no stake in any fighter. But if I did, let's say I wasn't doing this, and I was like a fan of, let's just say, I don't know, I'm just thinking, let's just say Joshua, right? Let's say I was a big Joshua fan, but I wasn't doing YouTube, and he started doing that, and it was almost laughing at the fans. I'd be like, well, I ain't gonna support you, you know, and you know, you're taking me for a fool, and that's what Fury's doing. He definitely had an element of that. You could definitely see in him that he was nervous. He was feeling it. You know, one thing is, you know, this fight has been, the can for this fight has been kicked down the road for several years, and I get the impression we know why now. Didn't learn him defense, so he joined Derek James. McCracken is very basic when it comes to defense. It was really, you know, one thing I used to laugh at when AJ was with McCracken was Rob McCracken was just high guard, high guard, high guard. That is extremely difficult for a 6'5", 245-pound heavyweight to do with muscles the size of more to your game than just high guard. It's one thing for welterweight, 160 pounds, to have a high guard for 12 rounds. It's very difficult for a heavyweight to do that, especially a big heavyweight. So look, Joshua should have left McCracken years ago before the Ruiz loss. I wonder, and I do suspect that Joshua wasted a lot of his years. Well, he definitely wasted years with McCracken. But I wonder, did he waste the years where he could have been learning something new, where he could have really made the most of his ability? Because for him to learn something new now with Derek James, when he's in his mid-30s and has had, you know, confidence issues, he took a beating against Ruiz, he's been schooled twice by Usyk. Is it too little too late? Possibly. I don't think he will. I think Spence, that's really going to, that beating like that is going to affect them. And if he goes and fights at 154 next, let's say he doesn't fight Crawford. Let's say he fights. Let's say he wants an easy fight at 154. Let's just say, now, I know he's not going to do this, but let's just hypothetically say he fought JJ Metcalf, right? I think we would see Spence not firing on all cylinders, even against someone at that level. Made up to 12K, keep it up, mate. Yeah, man, 12K. It's nice, man. It's I gotta say, it is nice seeing it. Like, it's 12K. We're on 12,000, and this is an old one. So this iPhone is like old. I've never updated it in a long, long time, and I'll just hide that there. But yeah, I don't know if you can see that there. 12,000. See if you can see it there. 12,016. Delighted with that. I really am. I'm really happy with that. Long may it continue. Let's keep the growth going. I had a feeling the post fight would do well. I thought the post fight would do very well, because I've noticed that the post fights I've been doing lately, even though some of them have been hours after the fight, have been doing very good numbers. Very good. And I've not been putting tags or anything like that on them. You know, a few people have told me, tag your videos. And honest to God, I don't notice any difference with or without the tags. You know, when you're doing the description, you can add tags below it. For those who don't know, you can do that. People have told me to do that, and that it will help big time. And I've done it on some, and I've not done it on others. And I've noticed no difference. If anything, the videos that have been my most successful, I haven't used any tags in them. So I don't know, like there's little tricks people say, like, this will help on YouTube, and I've not really noticed it. You know, maybe I'm not doing it enough to notice it. Maybe you need to tag them constantly for something to happen. But all I know is that I've done that. I've done the best. I haven't been tagging anything. A big up the base. Shout out to you, man. Nostradamus is in the building. Nostradamus, man, you're in the building here. Big up the base every single time. And, you know, base called it. Crawford went in within 9. I thought it would be a long drawn out one. I thought it would be a closer fight. But, you know, I got to big up Dell as well, because he didn't really go into detail in his prediction. But he just said, and, you know, you call it intuition, that this was happening at the wrong time for Spence, and that he would be beaten up. Not beaten up, but he'd be stopped in the later rounds. And that's exactly what happened. I don't think he expected to be, like we all didn't, to this extent. But, you know, I think for me, like, you get a feeling when an upset is in the air. I don't say upset is the wrong word. When you just know something is going to happen. Like, for me, one of the examples I'd always give is Povetkin when he fought Dylan White the first time. For me, every single thing about that fight had upset written all over it. And I could just remember feeling it the entire time in the build-up. Like, he's going to upset him. Didn't pick him. He's going to upset him. And obviously, the fight started out with Dylan White just dominating. And you kind of thought, like, maybe I'm just losing my marbles. Because I just had that feeling going in. Like, I was like, he is going to upset him. Even in the ring walk. And then it was like, oh no, he's going to stop Povetkin. And then, boom, Dylan White gets knocked down. Crazy. Big up to Matt. Thanks for the £2, mate. Every little bit helps. I appreciate it. Spence will never be the same, excuse me, again after that. Possibly, mate. Man, it's a real possibility. Spence is a hype job, but that doesn't take away from how special Crawford is. PBC, protecting fighters, always get found out. No, man, I don't think Spence is a hype job at all. I genuinely think Spence is a very, very good fighter. I think he's a very, very good fighter. I think he's one of the best fighters at welterweight. But he just ran into a much better fighter. With regards to PBC protecting fighters, I do agree with that to some extent. You know, I definitely think with Wilder they did it. I definitely think they kicked the can down the road with this fight for a very long time. But I think with Spence, like, Spence went over to the UK and fought Kell Brook. You know, that took some doing. And he beat Kell Brook. And I think even you're talking about prime Kell Brook, he would have beaten him. I think Spence is a very good fighter. I think that Crawford is just better. He's better in every aspect. He's better than he's definitely better than everyone at welterweight, I think. I don't think anyone beats him. I don't think Boots beats him. I don't think anyone does. I think it'd be interesting to see Boots fight him. But I don't think Boots would beat him. Nah, there was no way you could ever have robbed them. There we are. I'm after losing it. No, I didn't. I still have to see. I see young Mo Satelma went the distance again, which doesn't bother me. Doesn't worry me. The guy I don't even stop once. I like what they're doing with him. I like the way they're giving him these durable guys and not knockover jobs because he needs the round, simple as. And him going the distance with guys who are durable, that's nothing to worry about. You know, people emphasize him, but you have no power. The guy definitely seems to have power, but if you're trying your best to survive, then you're gonna survive. It's as simple as that. Big up to Joe Stunner boxing every single time. I hope you're keeping well, my friend. How are you keeping? I hope you enjoyed the fight as much as we did, man. I think I watched your post fight, and even you yourself were proper. Even you were kind of like, "What the hell?" It was a great fight. It was a great performance. I should say more so than a great fight because it was an ass whooping. But man, it's crazy, isn't it? And I hope you're keeping well as well, mate. I know you were probably tired like myself was. I was knackered after all that. I'm after losing the chat again. Wait, you see, where are we? Because I'm Joe Stunner. I hate the way this does this. Like sometimes StreamYard just randomly moves the chat, and you're like, "What the hell?" Great weekend for boxing. I'd like to think so. I mean, what? No, don't tell me that. Has it? Where'd you see that? Where'd you see that? Where'd you see that? I hope that's. Oh no! No, no, no! What? Oh no! Really? 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 Oh, I was looking forward to that fight. No, he hasn't. What do you think of TNT's panel and Khan's amazing insightful analysis? Yeah, Amir Khan is not one of the panelists if you're looking for, great insight. Frampton is always very good. I like Carl Frampton. He's very insightful. He's a very good analyst. Denzel Bentley is all right. He's all right. He's definitely got a lot of energy. But Carl Frampton, I'm not surprised that TNT, kept him as a panelist. He's very good. He's very insightful. I like TNT. I like what they do. Well, obviously it was BT Sport before, but I like the way sometimes what they'll do is they'll chuck David Hay on there, because David Hay is a bit of a Carl Froch. I like Carl Froch as well because I like when the zone get Carl Froch and Barry Jones on because with Carl Froch, he just says what he wants. He doesn't give a damn. And I like that. I like it when guys just say it. When they just are like, I don't care, I'm just going to say it. David Hay can be a bit like that as well. David Hay is not insightful. He can be a bit like Can. I know when they get the two of them on, sometimes you're just kind of like, in one sense, it's kind of funny. But in another sense, you're just like, what? Did he actually just say that? Because the two of them they're buds. So they say a lot of bizarre stuff. You got to love Nas. You gotta love Nas for just banter. I know he's not really on anymore after the old Eubank Crows one, which was funny. But sometimes, like some of my favorite kind of pundits are guys who just. It's not even that they say things I don't agree with. They just give just that it's just they're just different. If that makes sense, I loved George. I love George. I was gonna say George Grozer, but I love George Foreman on HBO. If you go back and listen to the commentary back from the 90s, it was just hilarious. Where you had Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley would say one thing, and George Foreman would say the complete opposite. And they'd be going back and forth. And for me, that was just hilarious when you listen to it. It was just like, what the hell? I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed all that. I wish we had a team like that now where you just everyone seems to be on the same page nowadays. No matter what you're on, whether it's the Zone, whether it's Sky, whether it's BT Sport, ESPN, Showtime. I loved it when you had just a team where it was just like all contrasting personalities and everyone had different views, and it was just like, who's going to say what next? And Foreman would be like that. Foreman would be the only guy where one fighter has clearly won that round. Harold Letterman, how would you score it? I scored it for him, Jim. I agree, Harold. I agree. I disagree. It's just like, what? And more often than not, you did disagree with Foreman, but he was just hilarious. I love George Foreman on commentary. Well done with the 12K. Next up, 15. That's it, man. And we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. 15 is next. We want 15 next. 15 would be nice. 15 by the end of the year would be nice, because then you can push on for 20. And yeah, look, I'm glad that we have 12 now. 11 was nice. 12 is nicer. And thank you, mate, as well. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I'm skipping loads of chats because I'd be here all day if I just read them all. I chopped and changed, but ended up going with Spence. No, man, that was a bad pick. Basic expected Crawford's performance. I always said he was levels above Spence. That's it. Like, I was picking Crawford as well, but the performance shocked me. It really did. Man, Beterbiev is done, I think. You know, in one sense, I want to see him versus Bivol, but in another sense, I don't want to, because I think the injuries are a sign that his body, I don't want to say it like this, but I reckon he's going to go David Hayes soon enough, where the injuries are just going to be so consistent that we're seeing a completely shot fighter. I don't know. An F1 question. What are your thoughts on Daniel Ricciardo replacing Nick De Vries? And you know, a lot of the guys don't like it when I talk F1, but I'll give my 2 cents very quick on that. And my thoughts on him replacing Nick De Vries are, it had nothing to do with Nick De Vries not performing to their standards. It had nothing to do with that. All it had to do with was they want to see how good is Ricciardo still, because we think he's going to replace Sergio Perez, because Perez isn't performing. That's what it is. If Perez had been performing and there was no need to even put him under, you know, under the magnifying glass, so to speak, De Vries would have at least gone to the end of the season, 100%. 100%. He would have gone at least to the end of the season. It's just to see where Ricciardo was at, because I reckon more than likely they say Perez has a contract with Red Bull for next season. I suspect that what they'll do is, if Ricciardo does a really good job, they'll put Perez in the AlphaTauri next season, and they'll put Ricciardo in the Red Bull. That's what I think they'll do. I won't stay on the F1 for too long, because I know people like the boxing and some people aren't into F1, but I reckon that's exactly what they'll do. And the reason why De Vries got the boot, look, De Vries has done better than Logan Sargent this year, who will get the boot, I have no doubt, from Williams next season, because I was never high on Logan Sargent. I seen him in F2, never impressed me, and I wasn't surprised that he's not doing well this season, because I wasn't expecting much from him. Mick Schumacher will get in that car, I think, next season. And yeah, I think De Vries is fine. I don't think he's a bad driver. I think that he should have waited. He would have got that Williams drive, I think. Probably this season. In the building. Lads, last time, if you could smash the like button, I'd really appreciate it. I'd really, really appreciate it if you could. Last time, I won't ask again. Last one. I'll say that, right? I'll say that. Last one. It was a good fight, if you can call it that, but it wasn't competitive. So it didn't deliver what we've been considering for 5 years. Yeah, that's true. Don't be that upset. Smith's going to lose anyway. I'll be picking Beterbiev, but I still thought that. I want to see. I like Beterbiev. I still believe Canelo was number 1 pound for pound. Interesting. Favorite network for Albania and London G is ESPN. For me, like, you know, I really like just whoever has the best fights has the best fights. Whoever gives me boxing, I'm happy regardless. Like, I still, although it's free now actually, but I was paying for Fight Zone. Although it's gone free now, thank God for that. But it was still £4. You were seeing some good small hall dust ups. No one could complain. Do you believe Spence would have beaten Crawford easily had it not been? No, I think Crawford would have always won. But I think that the car crash definitely played a factor. Not to take away from Crawford, but I definitely think it did. To win, I was shocked. I'd pick Crawford to win, but not like that. Best commentators are the ones that make you think and see things you hadn't previously noticed. That's exactly it. And they can articulate themselves well. And, you know, I loved Larry Merchant. I know a lot of people didn't. But Larry Merchant would only really speak when he felt he needed to. And I like that about Larry Merchant. Towards the end of his career, he started kind of going a bit out there and the speech wasn't the best. But I always liked Larry Merchant. And I liked it because he just told it like it was. He didn't give a damn. You know what I mean? Like, when Bernard Hopkins, I forget who he fought, but he was like, aren't you embarrassed to be fought? And it's like, whoa, could you imagine Could you imagine someone doing that nowadays? Just saying, aren't you embarrassed? It's like, wow, this guy he ain't playing. But very impressed. Your last video approaching 10K views. As I said, the post-fight reviews have been doing very well as of late. Don't ask me why, they've been doing very well. It's on 9,100 views at present, so that should hit the 10K barrier, which is nice. I don't know why, they've been just doing really well, the post-fights. I don't know why. It really just... Nah, I wouldn't be picking Conor Benn to beat Crawford. I wouldn't pick anyone at welterweight to beat. I wouldn't pick Boots to beat him. I wouldn't pick Ortiz if he could still make the weight safely. I wouldn't pick anyone to beat Crawford at this point at welterweight. I'm surprised they haven't done it, to be honest with you. I'm surprised. For me, if I was Eddie Hearn and I was looking for an opponent for Bivol, I would just do Callum Smith, because why keep him inactive? Why keep Bivol inactive when they can fight one another? I would do it. If I was Hearn, I would just say, right, let's do it. In Dubai, somewhere like that. I think that's where they were talking about doing Bivol next. I'd be just saying, right, let's do Smith versus Bivol. Because Boatsi is going to fight Dan Aziz. And yeah, the winner of that will probably fight Bivol. But that could be a while. And you don't want to keep Bivol inactive. Bivol needs to be active. He's had too many stretches of inactivity in his career. Keep the guy active. He's a great fighter. Also, it's so weird. My favorite channels are G-Man and Punch Perfect. Salute to Jamie. Big up to Jamie every time. I wonder, is he in the building? If he's not, big up to Jamie. That's because I'm American. If anyone can recommend great US boxing channels, please let me know. There's plenty of good ones out there, man. There really is. Boxing Waves is very good. Got a big Boxing Waves up every single time. Ring IQ is out there, So there's plenty of good. Boxing Waves is a good guy as well. A lot of respect for him. A lot of time for him. He's one of the best over there in the US. In fact, he might be probably my favorite US channel. Been subscribed to him for a couple of years now. So Boxing Wave is very good. I would say he would be, in terms of US, I'm just trying to think of some of the other US channels I'm sub to. Richard Dwyer, got to big him up every single time. I mean, I've watched his videos for many years now, and he's one of the guys where you just, you can never figure him out. Richard Dwyer is I like Richard Dwyer, but you'll never figure him out. I remember he picked Joe Hanks to beat Joe Joyce, and then he picked Joe Joyce to beat Daniel Dubois. I'll never forget that video where he picked Joe Hanks to beat Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce knocked him out in a round. I'll never forget that video. It's just, I still look back on that and think, wow. And when he picked Krzysztof Glowacki to beat Lawrence Okoli, and then Lawrence Okoli mentioned him in the post-fight, that was crazy. Oh, man, we got a big Dwyer up every single time. I love your usual videos, mate, but I gotta be honest, for you missed too many comments in the live. You see, that's the problem, man. When you get loads and hundreds of people in and the comments come in literally just bang, it's just like I can only watch so many, or I can only read so many as well, that I just have to, because at the time as well, like I don't want to miss, I know I'm going to miss loads, but I'm just kind of like, I don't want to keep flickering through, but I can't read them all. You got 12K and the bag. You're going to be donating to Taya. I haven't seen a boot one in a long time, mate. I didn't even know. Does he have OnlyFans now? Jesus Christ. No. Definitely not. I definitely won't be doing any of that. Did I miss? Yeah, it's reportedly. It's not confirmed, but Coppinger is saying it, so I'd say so. I couldn't envision it. I couldn't. That would be the kid to get annihilated. But I think as well, I think that Josh, we got to say, right, Josh Taylor, when he beat Jack Catterall, he could have easily moved up and challenged Crawford, but he didn't. He chose to stick at 140. I think he knew himself that I might be good, but Crawford, I ain't beating him. I will take my chances and try and beat Teofimo Lopez, albeit he didn't. But I think he kind of thought that, and that backfired, because at least if he'd went to 147, I would have lost to Crawford, definitely. But at least you could have said, well, look what he's beaten Spence. I lost to a guy who was the best. Instead, he stuck around at 140, and I don't think he's done himself any favors. I have to go and watch it, but he went the distance. Doesn't surprise me. The guy is he fought was durable. I don't think that you should say that that's a bad thing. At the end of the day, he's still young. He's only 18. So I'll watch it. You know me, I'm high on it. Moses Atuma, I've interviewed him. Nice guy. Doesn't look 18 at all. Believe me, I've seen him in person. You'd never think he's 18. He is not like you. And Mighty Max, you got a big Max up. I've been on his channel before, and big up to Mighty Max. Mighty Max is only, what, 16, 17? And he's been doing this a while. That's a guy who knows what he wants to do. And I got a big Max up every single time. Been sub to him for a while. It's been a few, but yeah, Boxing Wave is one of, out of all the American channels I'd watch, I would say he's probably my favorite. I'm just trying to think who else I watch over there. I watch The Wire, I watch Waves, you know, Intangible is a good guy. He just doesn't post that much, but he's been on here a few times. Let's try to think. That's pretty much it now in the States. There's a lot I would watch, and there's some I don't watch. I watch Karma, obviously. She's got a channel, by the way. And big up to Karma Serene. She's got a channel, for those who don't know. She's got over 1,000 subs, and we got a big, lovely Karma up every single time. So I watch her videos when she posts. I would say that most of the guys in America I would watch. Wave would probably be my G over there. You're doing great ignoring the haters. I don't mind them, to be honest with you. Thoughts on, and will the Glazers sell? I hope the Glazers do sell, but I don't know. I'd like the Glazers to sell. I would, but you know, it's this summer. It's been just like I've been like that. You know, I mean, the David De Gea situation. Yeah, we're getting a good keeper, but like the way they handled that David De Gea situation was just horrendous. I mean, I like David De Gea, big fan of his. Yeah, we're getting a good keeper, but like, the way they handled the David De Gea situation was it was a joke. It was an absolute joke. I really wasn't happy. American boxing channels are quite low quality. All right. And I was not impressed with Atuma. You weren't impressed. He fell asleep and completely lacking in imagination. That's interesting. I have to go and have a watch of it. Because, you know, when I seen who it was, I was like, okay, let's have a look-see. And, you know, the guy was durable. So I was like, okay, I'm not expecting a stoppage. If it comes, it comes. But if you're saying it wasn't great, I have to have a watch of it now. G-Man, do you live in England? And what do you do? What do you work at full-time? No, still live in Ireland, still live in Dublin, but I will be moving to England in the next 6 to 8 months. You know, more than likely it's going to be probably next year, January, February. I would like it to be this year, but something big would have to come up for me to just be in everything here and move over this year. So I'd say it's going to be next year, because it gives me a chance to save up a lot. It gives me a chance to find a place. It gives me a chance to, if I need a new job, because I might be able to do my current job remotely over there, maybe, hopefully, please, in the next few months. So that's what we're looking to do. Am I still boxing? No, and I haven't hit a bag or put a pair of gloves on since 2020. And I'd like to. I wouldn't like to box again, but I'd like to hit the bag again. The gym I train in has no heavy bag. If it did, I would hit it. I don't have a heavy bag. I like hitting the bag, but that's probably the only boxing training I'd ever do again. I haven't skipped in 3 years. I haven't sparred. I haven't done anything boxing related in 3 years. And I don't think I will. I think that's done for me. That's something that's closed. That door is closed. Obviously, if I was in the UK, if I was living in London and one of the gyms had a bag in it, I'd hit it. But that's probably the height of it. Would I spar again if someone asked me? I don't know. Maybe the ego would take over and I would say yeah, but I would be rusty as hell. I'd probably get the crap beaten out of me as well, depending on what level they were at. So no, I don't think I'll ever do it again. I think that door, I think that was a chapter that I tried, and it was just going to be a 1 or 2 page chapter, not a full blown part. So look, it's not meant for some, and I like doing this. I like talking about boxing. I like doing the reviews, and you know, boxing was something that I tried. It wasn't for me in a lot of ways, and that's fine. It's not for everyone. So you go and you take that, you move on. And as I said, I like doing this. Where in England are you going to move to? More than likely London. More than likely. I mean, I've looked at Winchester as well, but I would say 95% sure it'd be London. 95% sure. You know, if I could find like a really, really nice place in Winchester that worked, then fine. But I would say 99.9% is probably going to be London. Probably, you know, Finsbury Park or, you know, Forest Gate or Stratford, somewhere like that. More than likely, though, one of those places. As much as I love Westminster, I ain't never going to live there because it is way too expensive. Like, I mean, like, crazy expensive. I think there's just more opportunity in London than there is in Manchester. So that's why, and I know it better. I know the city quite well. Well, I don't know it that well, but I know it well enough that I could confidently navigate the city. So I would take London over Manchester. I like the south of England more so than the north of England. I don't know why some people like the north better. It's more lively than north, but the south of England just seems to suit me better. And you know, London and Winchester is in Hampshire, and it just they just appeal to me more. I don't know why. I love Westminster. I always stay in Westminster, but I know myself I'd never be able. Maybe if I was making crazy money from YouTube, then yeah, I would look for a place in Westminster. But that's way out of the budget at the minute. Anyway, like I don't know if you've ever seen Parliament View. Parliament View flats are they're Parliament View flats. They're actually in Waterloo in Lambeth technically, but I remember looking just for curiosity I was looking to see how much they would be to buy one of them. A 2-bedroom Parliament View flat will set you back 2.2 mil. For a flat, a 2-bedroom flat, a Parliament View flat will set you back 2.2 mil. Just in case anyone's looking to buy one. And God knows how much it would be to rent. I was looking to buy it. Now, obviously not literally looking to buy, I was just curious to see how much it would cost to buy it. It'll set you back 2.2 mil. So God knows how much it'd be to rent. I mean, yeah, they look nice. Don't get me wrong. They look very, very, very nice. Very nice. But 2.2 mil? Mate, you can get a 4-bedroom house for not even near that. Yeah, it's mental price, Westminster. It's beautiful and I like it, but you know, even to stay in a hotel there is not cheap. I've got membership with the hotel and I get the cheapest room, and one of the receptionists in there, last time I was there, she was like, oh, I recognize your face from coming here a few times, so she upgrades me for free. Big up to her. I appreciate that. Must get her name because she's a cute one as well, but she upgrades me, so I get the nicer suites free, which is a big plus, hence the reason why I keep going there. But yeah, I'd never live there. Well, I'd love to live there, but I never afford it. You're talking about astronomical expensive areas. Well, I wouldn't say Forest Gate is that expensive. You know, I've looked at and Finsbury Park isn't crazy expensive, but Westminster is definitely. Stratford is nice. You know, I definitely I definitely be going there. Scottish and prefer North England, just more relatable. And I always thought Southerners more of themselves and snobbyish. Yeah, I can see that. Plus, I'm a United fan, so my team is in the north. Well, I'm a United fan as well, and obviously I like the south of England better. You know, each to their own. I mean, I know like when you're looking at like Bamburgh and all that, you know, which is a place I'd love to go to. I'd love to see Bamburgh. That's basically Scotland. It's nearly on the border. You know, Lindisfarne, places like that. So there's places in the north I'd love to see. I haven't been to yet, but always the south just always appealed more to me. I don't know why. Just always seemed to me clearly making the bag browsing them. I was just curious because I walk by them all the time. Like I walk by them so regularly that I was just like, I wonder how much they cost. And then I found out and I was like, right, well, man can dream. Yeah, I know they are. For 5 years, and we had to be 5 people just to pay for it. Expensive. Yeah, I know. I'll probably watch it, but I'll probably watch it by other means, as Joe Stunner would say. What I do for a living, I work in accounts, so I do billing, accounting, stuff like that, and yeah, nothing too exciting. Nothing too exciting. Hopefully not forever. Hopefully not forever. Not forever, hopefully. We're race United fans back to London. Hopefully this, as I say, right, I always feel like it's a stopgap. Like every job I've ever had, I've always felt like it's a stopgap. No, not renting at the minute. I was actually looking to build here and, you know, get some land here, but like, I like it over there. I like the UK. And I always kind of felt like that if I want to do something in boxing, I need to be over there rather than here. You know, maybe if I was at a level in boxing where the channel was making enough money or whatever, I could do it. I could travel. But nah, for me, it's like, nah, I need to be over there in case opportunity comes. Because I've had opportunities come and I've took them. But it's cost me a lot of money and I've not recouped the money, if you know what I mean, in a sense of the opportunities I've been given, although, yeah, they've been great, I haven't been able to recoup it. You know? What did I say? Mr. S says ATAC qualified. I'm a recruiter. When you're ready, maybe worth a chat. Well, this is my first accounting job, actually. And I don't know, I have no qualifications in it. I've just worked my way through the admin. So I've worked my way to a very lucky position that I didn't have to worry about qualifications for accounting, which I'm doing now. Like, and funny enough, the company I work for is actually like it's Ireland based, but the company is mainly in the UK. And like I kind of do the accounting for East Anglia. So they split it into regions, they split it all over the UK. So I look after Norwich and Cambridge, which is nice. I've never been. Didn't realize how far away it is from London. It's like 100 miles, even though on a map they look quite close. What's that say? Get an AAT qualification. You can get the first 3 levels done in less than a year. Mr. S, follow me on, if you're not already following me on Twitter, DM me and we'll chat. DM me there on Twitter and we'll chat. If you don't already follow me, it's at BoxingGman93. Right? It's at BoxingGman93. DM me on Twitter or email me, one or the other, and we'll definitely chat. We'll definitely chat. That you've intrigued me there, mate. And I boxing just joined. Big up to you, my man. Peterborough, which is in East Anglia. Yeah, it's mad, right? Isn't it? That East Anglia. I'm a history buff, so I'm just gonna say it, right? East Anglia is one of the original kingdoms that people still refer to as. That's weird, I think. That was the one that like was the smallest, because I always find like Wessex is gone, Mercia is gone, which is the Midlands. Northumbria is Northumberland, but it's not a kingdom. But yet East Anglia is long gone, but yet people still refer to it as East Anglia. It's weird. Like I always found that strange that like they still call East Anglia, even though it hasn't been a kingdom for 1,000 years. They still call East Anglia that, which I find strange. It's weird. Like that's a bit of history trivia, by the way. A bit of history trivia. And Wessex, for those who don't know, was like South England. Like it would end at Cornwall, but it was still technically going to Cornwall. I know more about the kingdoms of England. Oliver Cromwell territory, man. Oliver Cromwell, Jesus. You do still have Essex and Sussex, but I would consider them because they were Wessex took over those kingdoms, so you would have had the King of Sussex, and for those that are, it just means West Saxons, like West Saxons, East Saxons, stuff like that. So that's what it meant. And yeah, it's mad the way they have Essex outlived Wessex, even though Wessex overtook and became a kingdom of Wessex. I'm in the former Wessex. Yeah. I think it's weird because I think that's one reason why there's such a difference in culture still to this day from south to north, because you know, if you look at the history of England, you know, Wessex and Northumbria were very different in culture. You know, it's one of the reasons why there was rebellions in Northumbria, because if a south leader took over there, you know, there was always rebellions. It's one of the reasons probably why there was an invasion there in 1066 from the Danes, because Tostig Godwinson, who was one of the last earls of Northumbria, he was from Wessex, obviously, House of Godwin, and they hated that because all Northumbrian earls, they were earls at the time. They weren't, they were earls. They were all from Northumbria, original. So they had a southerner being an earl, and they were like, not in our land. We don't want that. Yes, King Ethelstan was the first king. He became king of the Anglo-Saxons in 924, and he lived till 939. It's Ethelstan, Edmund, Edric, Edwig, Edgar, Edward, Ethelred, Canute. No, sorry, Ethelred, Sweyn, Edmund, Canute, Harold, Harticanute, Edward, Harold, and then William, Norman Conquest. Boom. There you go. That was good. That was some history buff. Big history buff. Yeah, King Ethelstan was the first king. Coronated in 925. King of England in 927 until 939. Boom. Bet you didn't know I was that much of a history buff. Hour and 15. Man, I've done that. I've gone on way too long. I always like to keep these an hour, but, you know, the questions were so good there. I felt the need to carry on. I always would love to do something like that. You know, it's weird, right? When you go to Westminster Abbey, and I've been there a few times, I've done like the tour of it, and you're hearing like them tell you things, and you're like, you don't say it, but you're like, you're wrong. That's like, you're wrong. Like, you're wrong with that, and that may have happened, but not like that, and your dates are wrong, and that's the wrong monarch you're thinking of, and stuff like that. It's like, I remember I was there and someone asked them who was the monarch from Wales. That was like, and he meant Edward II, and she was like, oh, it's probably Edward I. It's like, no, Edward II is Edward of Carnarvon. Carnarvon is in Wales. Edward I is like was Longshanks, and he was born in England. Like, I shouldn't be telling you this. You should, if you're a tour guide in Westminster, we should know this. Well done, G man. I know them, but can't recall them like that. Never knew I was a history buff. No, I'm a big history buff. I prefer, to be honest with you, I prefer ancient history, but I know a lot of the medieval history as well. I don't know much modern. So like modern history, as in kind of like I would deem modern history as the 800s to now. I don't not know it, but I wouldn't be as strong on that as I would be on medieval history and obviously the history of ancient world. I love ancient history. Like ancient history, I just find that so fascinating. The ancient world is fascinating in general. But medieval, as you saw there with the kings and all, like, and they were Anglo-Saxon kings. I mean, like, I yes, I could name the kings post-Norman Conquest. They're very easy. And that's why you see the name changes, obviously. Like when you hear like the names from like Anglo-Saxon, when you hear like the Ethelstans, the Edrids, the Edwigs, Alfreds, and people like that, and then you hear like the Williams, the Richards, the Henrys. There's a big difference in names. So a lot of names died out when the Norman Conquest happened because a lot of the Saxons left and went their separate ways. And you got the Germanic French names, like the Henrys, the Richards, the people like that, the Williams, the Stephens, because there was a king called Stephen. I dare you mention Longshanks. Their whole anthem is based on sending him home. Actually, no, it's not Longshanks. It's actually Edward II that they're sending him home. So the Flower of Scotland is actually for Edward II. It's not about Longshanks. I know they say Proud Edward's Army, but they're talking about the Battle of Bannockburn. And the Bannockburn battle was Robert the Bruce and Edward II. It wasn't Longshanks. Just saying. Because they send Edward II homebound. They didn't send Longshanks home. They never did. Just saying, you know, just saying. I like the Flower of Scotland. It's a good anthem. Anyway. It shouldn't. That's weird. I'll message you. Did you follow the channel, or what is your Twitter name? And I'll just send a message, because it shouldn't do that, because I'm not verified on Twitter, so it should let you DM me, no problem. That's weird. What's the name? And I'll just send it a DM. I'm back from First King of Wessex. Yeah, First King of Wessex, the House of Wessex. Very interesting. The history of Wessex is the history of all the kingdoms is interesting. Like Anglo-Saxon, I always find pre-Norman conquest history of England is more interesting than post-Norman. Although, like some of my favorite historical figures are post-Norman. But yeah, that's the little bit of history in there. But yeah, big history buff. If you didn't already know, I do love my history. I always loved it. Always loved it. But people, I've gone for nearly an hour and 20, so I'm going to leave it there. If Mr. S, hang on a sec, and I'll tell you what might be better to do the Instagram one, but I don't be on Instagram as much, so I'll tell you. Henry VIII is your favorite? He's not mine. Jesus, no. Not a big Tudor fan in general, to be honest with you. Not a big fan of the Tudors in general. Give me a sec there. I don't even know what my own Instagram name is because I'm not even signed into it. What's my password? I'll tell you what the Instagram thing is now, because I genuinely, I'm not even signed in to tell you what it is. So Instagram is boxing_gman993. If that helps, boxing_gman993, and your tag on Insta is D08 heavy, right? D08 heavy. Yeah. Oh, you do follow me. Okay, I'll send you a message there. People, I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, you haven't already. Because I got to get recording review of the week. You do know that. I have to upload that tomorrow. So I'll get chatting. Peace, people. All the best.